So Alton,
Back again.
we're back again. Yeah.
My
Believe it
name
or
is
not.
not Slim Shady, but I am back again.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay. So Alton, we're back again. Do you want to introduce this podcast?
This is the Unresolved podcast, so Alton, aka me, can be on a podcast, Mysteries Mixed with Food. Come join us every week for a new episode.
Yeah, that's right. This is the Unresolved podcast, a podcast that exists so Alton can be on a podcast. Do you know what we're talking about this week?
Pulled pork.
Pulled pork, indeed. Pulled pork.
Wow.
You made pulled pork from scratch, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. And so we're going to be watching the video, but you noticed beforehand that we have something a little bit different.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. We have, our normal monitor setup, but then we also have tablets today.
Indeed, which we normally use for presentations. So,
Yes.
Anyway, I thought let's go ahead and we'll just kind of jump
Yeah.
into it and see how this goes. So if
Cool.
you'll bear with me, I'm going to reach over and kick off our video here.
Awesome.
Guys, it's Alton. Today we're going to be making
So,
some
there was you and I talked a little bit while you were doing this. Actually, and beforehand, you can see you've got some.
Yeah, I have some cards.
Yeah, what were those cards for?
Steps.
Steps. Yeah.
And what to say.
What to say? Yeah,
Because this is a pretty big recipe.
it is a pretty big recipe.
You can make it go wrong very quickly.
Yeah, that's true. There was something that I asked you a couple of times to mention to our audience, and you forgot a few times. And I was wondering if you could recall what that might have been.
Um,
our pork butts. I'm going to start.
that pork butts are also pork shoulder.
Indeed, yeah, and so as you can see from
I'm gonna pull
the
this bit.
the video or the tablet there, I've got a little bit of a presentation to go alongside your video here, because we did talk about how they're called pork butts or pork shoulders and interchangeably, and you asked why they were called pork butts.
Yeah.
And in fact, I didn't actually have a good answer for that. I wasn't really sure. And so I thought that while we're watching this, maybe what we'll explore a little bit is what makes a pork shoulder also a pork butt.
Wow.
So I spent some time in the depths of Wikipedia trying to figure this out, and elsewhere actually.
Yeah.
So from the screen, you can see on your tablet there. That's a picture of a relatively large pork shoulder, much larger than what you were cooking here. By the way, you're putting mustard on. Do you remember what that was for?
It's basically just so your seasoning sticks on well.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything other than that.
No, yeah, you're right. And by change other things, I guess you know what I mean. Doesn't change the flavor. Anyway,
Yeah.
so we've got a pork butt here, and so let me switch over to our next slide here, just so that we can kind of see a little bit where it is. So it is pork shoulder. So from this diagram of this pig, you can see that it is kind of above the front leg. Interestingly, where it says picnic, that's a picnic ham, and the split pea soup the other day that we had was actually cut. The ham was cut from a picnic ham from the freezer. Yeah, interesting. But anyway, so as you can see, the shoulder is nowhere near the pig's butt. And in fact, it's called the leg ham. The butt. So you might be kind of wondering why that is. Well,
Definitely.
it turns out that the term butt actually comes from a barrel. These barrels, there's a certain volumetric measurement for a barrel called a butt, right?
Yeah.
And they used to store pork in these barrels, and so the shoulder being a common cut, it kind of picked up this name, the Boston, from the Boston butt. It was typical for
Hey guys, as you can see,
you know, the pork to be stored in these barrels. So, you know, here, what are you doing right here? Actually,
I'm putting them on the smoker after I put some. Oh, look at that transition!
That's pretty. Did you like that? You like that, huh? Yeah, that's great. On the Rectech smoker there. This is the first time you ever smoked something, huh?
I do believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was well done. Look at that. Pardon me. Anyway, back to our discussion here. You know, so so you know, the shoulder just kind of picked up this term based on the barrel that it was being stored in.
Definitely.
And so, you know, then of course you might just kind of ask, well, why is a barrel called a butt? That doesn't make much sense.
Okay.
And apparently it comes from this medieval French Italian term botte or botte. I don't really know which one it is. You know, as you can see from the diagram or from the text there, that it actually meant boot. And at that point, I decided to kind of abandon this query because you know, that was kind of a rat hole that I wasn't going to go down. So anyway, you know, back to the video here. What are you doing? You're pulling this pork out.
Yeah, we smoked it for a while. Now we're cutting
the twine off.
Yeah, twine off.
Yeah, because we couldn't find bone in short notice.
No, we could not.
Yeah.
But they do look very good.
Yeah. So kind of funny and interesting thing that I also found out was that one butt, it's actually it's an actual measurement, and it's equal to 2 hogsheads.
Like the whole head.
Well, this is again where I kind of decided to stop going down that rat hole. I'm not exactly sure why it's called a hogshead, but I don't think that it actually means it literally fits 2 hogsheads.
Yeah, but that'd be kind of strange because as you can see, our pork shoulder, although they may not, I think the one on the right may be pork butt because that one's bigger, but the other one was quite small.
Yeah, they could be just from different pigs, a big pig and a little pig. I don't really know.
Plus, a head doesn't seem to fit inside that.
A head would be much larger. Yeah.
So,
you know, it turns out butt is actually a unit of measure, right? So it is, it actually specifies a certain volumetric measurement. And I'm wondering if you can think of another way that we use butt as a term of measurement in our vernacular today.
And this will create juices.
Buttload.
Exactly. So if somebody ever tells you that you have a buttload of something, or they have a buttload of something, you can look at them in amazement and say, wow, you have about 125 to 150 gallons of something. That's a lot. That's actually what depending on the type of butt it is somewhere between about 120 and 150 gallons. So a buttload is actually
a lot
and also a valid unit of measure for something. So feel free to use that knowledge sometime in the future.
You know I will.
Yes, I do.
Okay, these have got
anyway,
smoke that
is this a political
we're just gonna throw them in
the guy in the top hat, the fat guy, is that an oligarch thing?
No,
it looks very
actually
similar.
So no, this is actually from American politics. And you know, when I was going through this, you know, about the pork butt and the barrel and things like that, I remembered in my social sciences classes, we talked about the pork barrel politics, and it denotes funneling, you know, people who are in Congress funneling money to their own districts solely for the purposes of pushing money to their districts, you know, usually on projects of insignificance. Oh, look at that! You have your apron on with your initials and everything. You're gonna want some, and you're about to pull the pork.
Yes.
In any way.
So,
I'm gonna do that now.
So, you know, pork barrel politics. You know, I was reminded by this pork butt thing. And it kind of had me wondering, well, why was it called the pork barrel? And it turns out back in the day, it was common for people to have a barrel of salt pork in their larder, and
just pork.
Salt pork.
What's salt pork?
Yeah, great question. I'm about to get there. Yeah.
Okay.
It was actually, and so it kind of migrated its use over into politics for this kind of, tossing money around in your district, because it was kind of a symbol of your not your wealth, but your your prosperity. If you had a barrel of salt pork in your larder, you were pretty well off.
What's a larder?
Yeah. Also another great question. I'm really glad you asked that. Something I was not, I also did not know, and I was kind of curious. And so I looked it up, and it turns out that it used to be just a cool place in your house, often.
Yeah. So like a garage. Maybe.
Well, this is back when things were still made of stone and brick and things like that. And so you actually had cool areas. But it was called the larder because the way that people used to store meat in this area was that they would take the meat and they would rub lard all over it. And then they would put it in this cool, dry place. So you might ask, why would they rub lard? What was the significance of that? It actually, it creates a oxygen barrier around the meat, so it makes it spoil a lot slower. So you can preserve it in the cool atmosphere of your larder with lard wrapped around it. Now, of course, it's kind of just taken on a more general term for a place for food storage.
Would this dry age it eventually?
Would it dry age that? That's a not a question for me to answer. I don't know. No, I think
I feel like people might accidentally, store it in for too long, and that's how they found out dry aging works.
It's very possible. I think it's a better question for your outdoor grill chef, the guy who dry ages everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what a larder is. It's a cool place in your house.
I'm gonna put this away because we don't need that.
This is
remember, never clutter your kitchen.
So this right here, let's take a watch at the video here.
Yeah.
As you said, the most dangerous part of pulled pork.
So you guys
dumping the hot juices into a. Do you remember what this is called this time?
Fat separator.
Look at you!
Whoa!
Wow. I'm so proud. In editing this video, I think that
how many times?
I think it was probably about 3 or 4 times that made it into the final cut. But look at that! Look at the skill in pouring. You poured it away from yourself. In all seriousness, that is, hot liquid like that can be pretty dangerous. And you did a fantastic job right there. So we're gonna and I am also proud of you for that.
Yeah.
That was really great.
I'll see you guys in a bit. I have to consult with.
Anyway, kind of in closing for the presentation that I prepared for you. And the one question that I thought you might ask that you didn't ask was, what is salt pork?
I did ask.
Oh, actually, no, you're right. You're right. Thank you. I stand sit fully corrected.
Yeah.
So salt pork is kind of it's a fatty portion of the pig. It typically comes from
You can see by the photo that is just very high in fat content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it comes from the same or similar part of the pork as bacon comes from. And so, fat is a common thing to use in cooking. And so, and in particular, salted pork will preserve for longer, as well as provide salt for the dish that you're making. In reading about this, I found an interesting term, and one that I just found very humorous, called the streakoline. And the streakoline is it is.
Why is it called lean?
It is. It's a piece of salt pork with a lean strip of meat through it. Hence hence the.
Is that why
lean.
you can see the streaks?
Yeah. So this is a picture of Strico lean, which I was quite tickled by the name of Strico lean. It's a southern thing, but Anyway, so that's the end of the presentation and kind of our sidebar into
Cool.
into why the pork shoulder is also called the pork
butt.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well, and as you can see, you've gotten past most of the cook at this point.
It's night now.
It is night now. How long do you remember how long this took you to make the
All day.
all day?
Do you want like a more like hour?
Yeah, like how many hours do you remember?
I'd say it's about 8 hours.
It's probably close to 8 hours.
8,
yeah.
9.
Yeah. And I recall we left the house for a little while, and I think the pork probably stayed in the oven about an hour.
Yeah,
or
we
more
met
longer.
we actually met up with Grit.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Oh, our special guest. Yeah, and so it was probably a little softer than is ideal, but it was quite delicious, I would say.
Yeah.
Share this.
We did share this with Grit, and
that's true. And interestingly, you point out at the end of the video all the different things that you can do with this, and an interesting side point to this was that we had it probably about 3 or 4 different ways, and Drit actually had it a way that we didn't have. He had it in pulled pork sandwiches.
Oh yeah. Lucky man.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone loves a pulled pork sandwich.
Yeah, I apologize for the coughing, by the way. My allergies have been quite bad this year. Put the juice back in. Good technique.
Really, it definitely moisturizes it.
Yeah, and it and you remember from when you put it in the oven, you put a little bit of brown sugar with it.
So it gives like it's a
little sweet, smoky.
Yeah.
Good amount of smoke on this, I thought.
It did definitely soak up that smoke.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
I just take a whole entire handful.
As you should. I think
just shoved it in my face.
Yeah. I think that's the right way of doing things after
you should take a photo of me putting it in my mouth, post it on the Instagram. Follow us.
And that might be our lead photo for this particular episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was some pretty good pulled pork. We did macaroni and cheese with that, of course, which we'll feature in a future episode. We had I think we had burritos with that.
Yep.
We had tacos with that. Maybe not a whole lot of difference there.
Yeah.
Drit, of course, had
pulled pork sandwich.
Hawaiian pulled pork sandwiches.
Yep.
Yeah, quite good. Various
look at that transition.
you like the flip, don't you? Yeah. Like you're just shoving more in your mouth.
Yeah.
That's the right way to do it. I'm
just take,
Yeah. Look at the reaction. You just can't contain yourself.
That, like crusty part on the outside. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
It's true, actually. The
crusty bits were real good.
Yeah, they were so good. All right. So that was pulled pork. How like at the end of this, I do like to ask you how you felt you did on the cook. And so any thoughts on how things went?
I think for my first time, I think it was very nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought I thought you did really well on this. Like you said, it was your first time on the smoker. You got a good bark on things.
Yeah,
nice smoke depth on everything. Taste was great.
Yeah,
definitely fed us for a few days as well as friends. So
friends and family.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's that. And I was wondering if you'd like to walk us out.
I'm Alton Danger Swiderski. This is Frank Swiderski. We are related.
Yes. For better or for worse.
Yep. This is the Unresolved Podcast, a podcast so I can be on a podcast. Mysteries mixed with food. Follow us on Instagram.
Follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes, please.
All right. Well, thank you all. We'll see you next time.
Yep.
We'll be talking about. Actually, no. We'll probably have an episode in between, but in the future, mac and cheese.
Yeah.
In the meantime, perhaps another mystery box.
Perhaps. It's a mystery.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
All right.
Why are we clapping?